Hello Saints, welcome in for another midweek video. My attention was drawn this week to 2 Corinthians chapter 1 and wanted to take a look at a little short passage here and try to get some perspective on it as it relates to us and as we can respond to it. Paul's writing this letter, the second letter, at least the second letter, to the church of Corinth. And of course, he begins with his usual salutation, Paul, an apostle, Timothy, our brother, to the church at Corinth. And he begins this way: Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of mercies and God of all comfort. And I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to read more, but in verses 3 through 7 of this passage here that we're going to look at, he uses the word comfort 9 times. And this is what drew my attention. I began to read it and comforted. And so I said, Lord, what are you saying to us about comfort, about being comforted and being a comfort? And I looked up, of course, the original text that Paul wrote, the Greek text, is a word that means to call to one's aid or call to one's side. Some of the versions there will use the word consolation. That's not a bad word. I'm not sure it communicates all that we're looking for here. Consolation is just, you pat somebody on the back and it'll be okay. Comfort is actually providing something. Comfort, according to Webster's, is to strengthen, to invigorate, to cheer someone up, to enliven them. Comfort is to strengthen the mind when it's depressed. He also says comfort is relief from the distress of our minds. And then finally, Webster said that comfort is that which gives strength or support in distress, difficulty, danger, or infirmity. And I think that's the definition we're looking for here. It kind of sums up all the others that he said. Comfort is that which gives strength and gives support in a time of distress, in a time of difficulty, a time of danger, or a time of infirmity. Now, to understand this passage, we must remember that Paul is writing it in basically the first person. He says, Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of mercies, the God of all comfort, who comforts us. Don't miss that, who comforts us in all our affliction, that we, us and we. So he's writing from the standpoint of the company of ministers and apostles that are traveling with him being the apostle. He's telling the readers where they come from, and he's saying what they've experienced. And anyway, we'll get into that, hopefully. He says, he's able to comfort those who are in any affliction with the comfort with which we ourselves are comforted by God. For as we share in his sufferings, so through Christ we share abundantly in comfort. If we're afflicted, it's for your comfort and your salvation. If we are comforted, it is for your comfort, which you experience when you patiently endure, don't miss those 2 words, patiently endure the same sufferings that we suffer. Our hope for you is unshaken, for we know that as you share in our sufferings, you will also share in our comfort. I got a couple more verses I want to read, but I hear a lot today of people saying that, and they're right, that a lot of churches, a lot of pastors are avoiding the topic of suffering, avoiding the topic of difficulty, of challenges, because they don't want to make people uncomfortable. Well, I don't want to make you uncomfortable by not preparing you for those things that are coming, because whether or not a preacher preaches on these topics, they're real and they're coming. He uses the words affliction, it's just something, any kind of distress that's causing us, I like to describe it, causing us to have a tight stomach, your stomach all up in knots. We're looking for comfort. We're looking for relief from that distress. And he's saying, we've been through this. And then he describes it. He says, we don't want you to be unaware of the affliction that we've experienced in Asia. He gets particular. He says, we were burdened beyond our strength and we despaired of life itself. This is the apostle talking. He's saying it got so tough for us that we despaired of our lives. He said, indeed, we felt like we had received the sentence of death. He said, but that was to make us rely not on ourselves, but on God who raises from the dead. Now, I know I have been in difficult times where I have despaired for my life, when I thought I would be better off dead. Things were so challenging, I didn't know what was going to come next. And Paul says, these are the times that we learn to rely on God. Why? Because you figure out you ain't got anything or anybody else to rely on. He says, we rely on God who raises the dead. He delivered us from such a deadly peril, and he will deliver us. On him, we have set our hope that he will deliver us again. And now I love this verse. You also must help us. Now, how in the world could this congregation help the Apostle Paul? By prayer, so that many will give thanks on our behalf for the blessing granted us through the prayers of many. He's saying, as an example, we've been through it. You cannot go through anything we hadn't been through. It's tough. It's challenging. It's sleepless nights. And sometimes it's a real discipline to really lean on the Lord and really press into the Lord and really trust him. When the bank account's laughing at you, when the bill payers are calling, when the doctor's calling, giving diagnoses that are not good, that's a tough time. It's tough to say, I'm going to trust God. But what you learn then is when you say, I trust God, you're not just speaking spiritual platitudes. You're speaking reality. I'm going to trust God because I don't have any other choice. I'm going to learn, as Paul said, to rely on God. And he said, we have experienced this comfort. We've been comforted in all of our affliction. Now, he describes pretty gruesome afflictions. But we have been comforted so that we may comfort you. And there's a lesson, saints. When God brings us through, when God comforts us and gives us comfort, and our definition is that he gives us strength and support in distress. When God does that, we should look for opportunities to offer that to somebody else. Because right now, there's somebody that you know, somebody around you in proximity, or at least touching them through whatever the means might be. There's somebody who needs to be comforted. There's somebody that needs for you to support them. Now, I don't mean necessarily financially, although that may very well be what it is. But they need you to stand alongside them. They need you to wrap your arms around them, proverbially speaking. We're not looking for problems here. And offer them your strength. Offer them your comfort. Offer them your support. Offer them your strength that you have, and you gained that strength by knowing God through difficulty. We serve a God who's a God of comfort, which makes us people of comfort. It also makes us people who rely on comfort. It's God's comfort that gets us through and soothes when we have these difficult and challenging times. I'm not promoting difficulty, and I'm not promoting distress, and I'm not promoting affliction. I'm promoting what God does in those times. Those times are going to come. We can act like they don't, but they do. But what I'm saying is, in those times, we need to remember that we serve a God of comfort, which makes you and me people of comfort, so that we can offer comfort to those around us. Now look for someone today and think of someone that needs to be comforted. And have a good week, and go out there and act like somebody. Good day.